This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow.
Hey, what's up guys? Will here. Welcome back to Modeling from the Ensign's Chair. If this is your first time joining me and watching one of my builds, call it the Ensign's Chair because I'm still considered myself somewhat of a novice at model building. I built a couple, but I'm still learning. There's a lot of things that I've been working on and trying to improve my skill set on, and got a new build to work on and get some new skills going. Funny thing is, I actually wasn't planning on starting another build yet. I was going to finish up my smoothie, which you guys have been following it. I'm sorry. I was not planning on starting another build. I actually got contacted and approached about doing a commission build, and was a little reluctant to do it, but I said, hey, you know what? If you want to put your faith in me, I'll take a shot at it and see what I can do with it. So Brian contacted me and asked me, hey, would you mind doing a commission build on my NX-01? And of course, you know, I was, like I said, a little hesitant, but it's the NX-01. I got to say, I've been looking to build one of these for a while, and I had the opportunity to get a hold of one a couple years back and didn't jump on it. And of course, now they sell for like $250 plus now. And when he offered me a chance to build this model, I was really happy to get a shot at it. So he has sent me over his model. I got it right here. And he's also sent me over the lighting kit he wants me to use on it, which is from Tenor Controls, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But I also told him that because this was my first commission build, I wanted to make sure I had a little bit of an insurance policy. So I did buy one of these myself, and I've got it set aside in storage just in case. That way, Brian, you're covered, man. If I mess it up, I got a brand new one to give you. But I think we're going to be all right with this. I've done a lot of research on it. I'm looking at things, and it's going to be a fun build. I'm going to enjoy this one. To be honest with you, I've never really got into the Enterprise series much. It's one of the only Star Trek series I've never really watched much of. I watched like the first, I think, episode or two, and I just didn't really get into it. And till now, and when I got asked to build this, now I've pretty much ran through the first season. Mainly, if nothing else, to get an idea of you know, what lights blink, what lights are steady on, and get kind of an idea of the overall paint scheme I want to approach with this. And so, without further ado, we're going to jump into it. If you haven't seen one of these, let's just open this up real quick and take a look at it. And I'm going to tell you what, I did open this up earlier already and take a look at it just to make sure that it arrived in good shape. And most of these, you know, they haven't been, I don't know what the last year was these were produced, but it's been a couple years, so they've been sitting a while. But anyway, here's our instruction booklet and our decals. And let's see, we've got looks like where our work core goes and the pylons where they attach. Some clear parts, some more clear parts, some more clear parts, and something just fell out of that. There it is. So apparently we got a little hole in this package here somewhere. We'll leave that in the box for now, so I don't know where to find it. But lots of clear parts. Looks like the base are window inserts for around the saucer edge, and our pylons that the nacelles actually attach to. And we'll come back to that. And then we've got our actual warp nacelles, which are nicely packaged. And yeah, they look pretty good. Nice. pretty good size to them. And this thing here, man, this really surprises me. This is huge. I actually held this up, and I don't have it in this room right now, but I actually held this up to my 1350 original series saucer section, and this thing is just massive. It's actually a little bit, I think it was just a little bit bigger, but than the saucer section for the original. It's huge. It is a really big saucer, but you know, the whole ship is pretty much saucer, so I guess you would expect that. Then we've got some other parts. There are a lot of really small parts. So it should make for a nice intricate build. We do have, I did notice right off the bat looking at it that we are going to have to drill some holes here to light these up blue. These should be blue. I was just thinking about that because these are the pieces that go there. So we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to drill some small holes over these. I think these are cargo bays for the light to shine there and up front here. And also for our set of 3 lights on each side of the scoop up here. Don't know what that's called officially, but we'll call it the scoop for now. So we'll have to drill, do a little bit of drilling, put some extra lights in here, but it's really nice intricate detail on this. It's a lot of money for these models, but I'd say this one is really probably worth it because it's a lot of intricate parts, a lot of clear parts. So should lend to lighting pretty well. And let's see, these are our parts for the sides of the warp nacelles, and then our clear parts for the lighting up front. I'm not sure if those get used with the lighting kit still or not. I'll have to look at that. But so there we go. That's all of our parts there. And like I said, looking forward to getting started on building this. First thing I'm going to suggest though is wash your parts, especially these, because like I said, these kits have been out of production for a while, so they've been sitting for a while, and I'm not sure if when Brian got this, if it was wrapped or not. When he sent it to me, it was unwrapped, so we're definitely going to wash those parts up. So we'll take a look at that. But what I want to take a look at in this episode is I want to kind of look at, I've actually got 2 lighting kits here because I've got one for when I want to eventually do mine. And I've got the one that Brian sent. Now, Brian sent the one from Tenna Controls. And he also sent over a nice 9-volt power supply and connector. But I want to do a little comparison on the one from Tenna Controls, and the one I got is from Trek Modeler. And there's some things that are obvious pluses and minuses to each kit, so we'll talk about those and go over that real quick. But give me a minute. I will turn the camera on, put you on the table, we'll get to work. Give me just a minute. Alright guys, here we are. So let's take a look at these comparison on these control boards here. As I said, this one here on the right, this is Tenna Controls. This is the one that Brian wants installed in his model. And the other one is from Trek Modeler that I purchased to use on mine. When I eventually get around to building my own. But he's got, Brian's included a connector for his 9-volt power supply. So thank you for doing that. Saved me the trouble. And so we got in the package here. Of course, you get your printout instructions from Tenna Controls on the board. And tells you what you need. Pretty much gives you a layout of your wiring. Can be. I haven't really had a chance to really look at this yet. But this is what scares a lot of people when they talk about doing these boards, is these wiring diagrams. And when you first look at these wiring diagrams, yeah, they're they're a little confusing at times to look at. But I promise you, when you get to work and start working on these, you take it a section at a time, and it's not as bad as it looks. But it can be confusing and a little overwhelming sometimes when people first look at them. But some instructions for the remote. Let's see, we got our navigation, impulse engines. All right, so now I did kind of take a look at this part here a little earlier though, and I sent Ralph a question about this because with the kit, and I'll pull that stuff out here in a minute, but with the kit you only get, for the strobe you only get 2 white LEDs. And let's see, they show that as LEDs 2 and 9, which 2 is right behind the bridge, and 9 is, they show it on the underside, which is actually where the shuttle bay is. And as far as I'm aware, there's no strobe. I looked at the renders for the CGI miniature, and I didn't see a strobe there. There is a strobe on the underside of, I guess you could call it where the warp core is. And there is a strobe under there, but I don't think there's a strobe where this indicates number 9. But the other issue is, too, it's missing. With only 2 strobes, you're missing quite a few strobes. You should have, on the back of your nacelles, on the underside, you should have a strobe on the underside of each nacelle. You should have, instead of this 9 being here, you should have a strobe on the underside of your where your warp core is. And then you should have a strobe, 4 strobes, or 5 strobes on top. You should have one behind, I think it's behind or in front of, I gotta look at it again. But it's in the same basic spot where your nav lights are on the top back ends of the nacelles. You should have strobes there too. Strobes on each side of your saucer section where the navs are. And then you should have that strobe like this indicates behind the bridge. So I did send Ralph an email and ask him, can I, if I want to add those LEDs, can I wire them into that? Can I wire them into that circuit without overloading it? I think I can, because I believe the board for this is rated for 12 volts, and each LED only takes up, I think it's around 20 milliamps, or I'm sorry, the board's rated for 12 amps, and I think each bulb only takes 20 milliamps. So when you add them all up, it should have plenty of wiggle room. And then added, the other issue I ran into is that the kit only supplies, you've got your roll of LED strip tape here. Now, I haven't looked to see how many pieces of this I actually have or how long they are. I got a light tested on the inside too and see how well it lights up. But Intel would terminate red wire 8-pin. I thought I'd seen somewhere that was only like 4 LED strips. So, but I got to look at it. It looks like more than 4 on this roll. So I'm going to have to look at it and see. But the great thing about this kit is it provides you all of your resistors, provides you LED strip tape, it provides you some ribbon wire, provides all your LEDs, even has your shrink tubing. So, that's pretty cool that this kit provides pretty much everything you need. These are the spinning discs for the buzzard. So I'll probably try to pull these out and do maybe a mock-up hookup of them so you can see these next to each other. But that's going to take a little bit of time to do. And then this one here is the control board itself. Let's see if we can get a look at this. Alright, so there's our control board. And the other thing in here is the remote control that's going to control all this. That's pretty cool. Got your 4 buttons, a little slip-up cover, little cover on it. Almost looks like a little mini tricorder. Good job on that, Ralph. It looks pretty cool. So, anyway, those are the questions I had. Was like I said, I need to look at exactly how much LED strip tape I've got in here for the internal lighting, and see how well that's going to light up the interior. And I'll go over how I'm painting this here in a little bit. But we'll take a look at that. It's got some ribbon wire and all that. So that's what comes with your kit from Tenna Controls. Now this kit from Tenna Controls, I looked up, it looks like it's probably, with shipping, it's probably going to run you about 105 bucks. This is the one with the remote. I think the other one without the remote is a little bit cheaper. But this one run you about 105 bucks. Now I should mention that this one does not include the phase cannons or photon torpedoes. That kit is separate, and it's like I think with shipping it's probably around another $115 just for that. So, how much money you want to put in your kit, how much you want to get out of it. But So let's take a look at the Trek Modeler kit. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, talking about the photon and the phase cannons, that this kit actually includes all that. That board will do all. This board will do all of that. It will do the lighting effects and your phase cannons and your photons. No sound to it, unlike the Tenna Controls board. Now, the Tenna Controls photon and phaser has sound effects. This doesn't have sound effects. You just get the lighting of the photons and the phasers firing, which is still pretty cool when you consider that I think this board cost was shipping $85, I believe, somewhere around there. So a little bit cheaper than this board. Now, this board isn't remote control though. So, you know, if you don't care about the remote control, then this could be an option for you. Now, the other thing to keep in mind about this board, you'll notice there's not a whole lot that comes with it. You've got the control board here, which is a little bit bigger, but not much bigger than the one from Tenna, and it'll still fit nicely inside the saucer. And the nice thing about this too is you've got your control boards here for the buzzards, and these just plug directly into the board. So that's kind of cool. You don't have to solder up anything on these; they just plug right in. So, and then you also get 2 momentary switches, and it looks like I may be missing. There's supposed to be a toggle switch, and it does not look like that is in my kit. So I got 2 momentary switches, but not the toggle. So I may have to email him about that. I'm not too worried about it. I've got other toggle switches, so that's no big deal. I'm probably not even gonna worry about it. But I keep stock of some stuff like that, like toggle switches. I've got a couple of those laying around, so I'll be good with that. Now, the other thing you notice too is that this does not come with, you know, the ribbon wire that you got here, and it doesn't come with your resistors and your LEDs. I'm cool with that because I actually keep a bunch of 3mm and 5mm LEDs in stock, and I also keep a couple boxes of ohms, or a couple boxes of resistors laying around too. So I've got all that, and the wire I don't worry about because I tend to use magnet wire a lot of my builds. For this build here though, I do have some other wire. I think it's like a 20 or 22 gauge, 22, maybe even 26 gauge. I can't remember. I have to look at it and see, but I've got wire, so I'm not worried about any of those things. So for me, this was a good option because, one, it's a little bit cheaper than the Tenna Controls board, and 2, it has the phase cannons and the photons effect with it. The lighting only, not the sound. And I knew when I bought it that it didn't come with the wire and it didn't come with the resistors or the LEDs, and I've got that stuff here already, so that's not a problem. And the LED strip tape, I've got plenty of that too. So I even just ordered some more yesterday to make sure I had plenty for Brian's build and also for mine when I get around to it. But so I mean, that's kind of the comparison of the 2 boards. You know, you pay a little more for the Tenna Controls board, but you get a little more as far as you get everything you need to wire this up. Whereas the Trek Modeler board, you get a little less, but at the same time, you do get the phase cannons and the photons lighting effect from this board, as well as all your other strobes and everything else. So, you know, when we do the build, and I'll see about wiring both of these up, just doing like a little temporary wiring to it to see how they display and how they're going to look, so you can kind of get a comparison on that. That's going to take a little bit of time for me to do. I may not be able to get that done in this video, but we'll see. If I have time this weekend, I'll get it together and we'll put a video on that. So, other than that, so that's pretty much where I'm at with these lighting kits. You know, you can see the difference on these, and so it should be a pretty interesting build. And like I said, I'm hoping I can do a comparison of these 2 kits lit up, so you can get a better idea of what these look like side by side. But so, you know, you like I said, you kind of have to pick, you know, which one, you know, what do you need the most? Do you need the kit to come with everything so you could just, you know, work from that kit and get it wired up and know it's going to work? Or are you comfortable with working with the LEDs and all that kind of stuff separately? So, like I said, I am, so I don't have a problem with some of the stuff that this kit doesn't have that the Tenna Controls kit has. But, so, that's where we're at with that. But it should be a pretty good build. I'm going to enjoy it. There's a lot to do on it, and a lot more stuff to learn. Oh, also I didn't show you this. This is so the other thing with Tender Controls is they send you the printed paperwork and printed instructions for putting this together. Trek Modeler, for some reason, it's no big deal for me because I have a printer. They email you your instructions for wiring the And like I said, I've got a printer, or you could just, if you got a tablet, you can look it up. It's not a big deal. There's not a lot of the instructions for the Trek Modeler board is actually relatively, it's really simple. Is there a do, don't, tools you need. Kind of tells you where they recommend you place the board in the model on the lower section of the saucer. And then you've got basic wiring diagram for everything. You know, your spinners basically just plug into the board. Tells you your left spinner is for the port engine, and the right spinner is for the starboard engine. So they're supposed to spin inwardly together. So I'll have to hook those up and see which one spins which way. But other than that, you've got your connections down here. You've got a connection for your running lights, which I'm assuming to be your navs, your strobes, and then you've got a connection for your first torpedo and your second torpedo, and then your phase cannons fire together off of one wire. And then you've got your ground, and you've got your negative and positive input, and you've got two momentary switches on here. Now I've tried to look. I looked on the Trek Modeler website, and I've looked on here. And I know that the one momentary switch is for the weapons, but I'm not sure what the secondary switch is. I don't know if maybe that's to control the rate of spin on the buzzards, or what that's for. I tried to look up and see what that secondary switch meant, but I didn't see where it said what that was for. Unless you've got, I don't think that it's separate switches for the phase cannons and the torpedoes, but I don't know. We'll find out when I get it hooked up. But again, see, it was supposed to come with its toggle switch, but I've got a toggle, and actually if it's like that, I've got toggles I'd rather use than that. It's pretty simple wiring, and Trek Modeler schematics for the lighting is pretty accurate. Now they've got something that's actually a little bit wrong on here too. Just like Tenna had some, was missing some strobes. So you've got. It shows you where your strobes and running lights are. Now this would be the dorsal or the top, and this would be ventral or the bottom of the model. And they show running lights, which would be navs, on the bottom of the nacelles. There are no running lights on the bottom of the nacelles. I've looked at the CGI render. I've looked at watched the TV show over a couple scenes to see there's no running lights on the bottom of the nacelles. So there are running lights or navs on the top and strobes. But not on the bottom. The bottom is just strobes. That's all that's down there. So, it's not a big deal. I knew what that was. Somebody else isn't really familiar with it. They may not realize that that's wrong. But so we're all set up for that. Like I said, I'm going to see if I got time this weekend. I am going to try to do a mock-up on both of these lighting kits so we can see what they look like. Fortunately, I've got all the LEDs here. To do it for the Trek Modeler one. I've got all the resistors I need. The guide for Trek Modeler shows 100 ohm resistors. I'm not sure about that. I usually use at least on the 3mm LED. I usually use at least I want to say a 370 or something higher than that. Usually, I think most of the ones I've got now are like over 400, somewhere in the 400 ohm range is what I've been using. I've said this before in other builds, I would rather underpower an LED and have it last a really long time than overpower and have it burn out on me quicker. So let's talk about real quick. I have been doing some practicing and some testing with my paints. And I had been talking about, in my previous build, using craft paints more often now. So what I did was I went up to Hobby Lobby, and I grabbed some different silver metallics, and I tested them out in a couple different ways. I've got some swatches that I painted here. And you know, my understanding is with this model, basically what you want is a silver with kind of a brownish or bronze type undertone to it, I guess you would say, or overtone, I don't know. But basically when you do it, you want to, you know, you want it to look more silver in some light and then have a little bit of a bronze sheen to it. And I don't know how this is showing up in the camera. Let me see if I can turn up the brightness on my viewfinder here so I can actually see. But so what I did was I painted the right side of this with just a plain silver, and the left side is painted with a mixture of paints, but the way I apply them is a little bit different than what some people may apply them. What I actually did was I tested out a couple different paints. I tried this shimmering silver from Deco Art, and to me it was a little bit too flat. I mean, it just was too plain and didn't really have, it says dazzling, but it didn't dazzle me. It was once I painted the ship, it just seemed like it was kind of plain and flat. And then I tried the Anita's Pearl Metallics, and I liked that one for a little while, but then I started looking at it, and to me the metal flake in it was just a little bit too much. And you know, I figured since pearlescents were good for the refit, that maybe it would be good to be able to use on this. But in this case, it was just the metal flake, and it's just too much for me, for my taste. And then there's this Extreme Sheen, which had way too much of a, which is, let's see, this one. I think it's this one here. No, the Extreme Sheen is actually this one here. No, sorry, it is this one. So it just had a little bit too much of a almost like a fairy dust look to it to me when you applied it. So I didn't want to do those three. And I had watched Boyd's build that he did about 8 years ago of this model, and he had talked about looking for more like a pewter look on it. So what I did was, what I ended up settling on was I got this folk art pewter. And the great thing about this pewter is when you look at it, it's already got kind of a, it looks dark in the bottle, but it actually shines, when you paint it on, it actually comes out really nice. And the nice thing, or really nice thing about it, and it's probably not going to show up on this swatch in the camera, but just straight out the bottle, it's got a nice silver, and then, you know, under certain light, it's got kind of a bronze tone to it. So that's kind of cool. It's already got that effect to it. But what I found was I needed to enhance it a little bit. So what I did was I painted this on first, and I mixed this, or I dilute it with my my Pledge, which is the same as Future. Everybody talks about it's Pledge Revive It. And anyway, I diluted this with the Pledge, and I sprayed it on, and I let it dry a little bit. And then I did the same thing with this Anita's Titanium Gold Metallic. What I did was I came back with this, and I used very little of this and thinned it out a lot with the Pledge. And I came back and just dusted over it lightly. And like I said, I don't know if it's showing up in the camera, but sitting here in person, this side here is just a plain silver, so I was hoping to kind of offset it so you could tell the difference. And then the left side here is, bring this light over more, maybe it'll help. This left side here is has a combination, like I said, a base of the metallic pewter from Folk Art, and then a light dusting of this titanium gold from Anita's. And I think it's got the tone that I'm looking for. I sent Brian a couple pictures of this under different light, and he agreed he liked it. So that's the color I'm going to go with. I think it looks really good. Now, Brian gave me a little bit of a break here because he doesn't want the Aztecs on here, even though I'm kind of on the fence about the Aztecs, because the only paint masks I've seen for this are the ones from Aztec Dummy, and as far as I know, they only allow like a single color to be used for the Aztecs. And when you look at the model renderings, the CGI model renderings for this, for the actual studio model and the Aztecs, The Aztecs, I'm seeing at least 3 different shades of colors for the Aztecs, and I really didn't want to do it with just a single tone to it. So I know Boyd had talked about using the A Creation decals for his, and I thought they looked really good. I've seen pictures of the A Creation decals for the 1350 online, and they look pretty close to what the studio model, the CGI model, looks like for its Aztecs. But they're not in production anymore, and I can't find them anywhere. So if anybody has a lead on some, let me know. You know, I'd like to get a hold of a set of them, and even if I can get a hold of a scanned copy and print my own, I mean, since they're no longer in production anyway, that would be great. So if anybody's got a set or got a scanned set, just hit me up at the email ensignschair@gmail.com and let me know. And or if you know where I can actually get an actual set of the A Creation decals. I'd almost rather print my own, because at this point the A Creation decals, I think, have been out of print so long that it's kind of questionable as to what the quality will be of the decals once you try to use them. So that's where I'm at with painting this, getting this started out. So what I'm going to be doing here is, first thing, I'm going to take the parts out. I'm going to go wash them, because I did do a little test on one of the parts earlier, and I did have a little bit of a crackling issue. I'm assuming it's from a mold release agent or something. So do wash the parts for, this is the 1000 that I'm going to build eventually too. But do wash the parts for this. That's what I'm going to do first. And then I'm going to go do my light blocking. So give me a little bit. I'm going to go do that, and then I'll come back and show you where I'm at with that. So be back. Hey guys, well, I was hoping to do a comparison shot on at least the buzzers on this. I wasn't too worried about hooking up the strobes or that, but unfortunately it looks like this Trek modeler board is DOA. It's I tried hooking up both the buzzard collectors, and neither one of them are working. So, but you can see the antenna controls one is lighting up nicely, and it does have a nice lighting effect to it. So I don't know. I've sent Trek Modeler an email, and we'll see what comes back. But I tried hooking up both of these. I've got the power hooked up to both this board and the antenna controls board, and the only one that's lighting up is the antenna controls board. I'm not getting anything out of the Trek Modeler board. So unfortunately, it looks like I might have to wait to do a comparison on it. But all I did with these domes is I took some 600 grit sandpaper and sanded the outside of the dome, and then I took 1000 grit and followed that up and sanded it some more, and gives a nice little cloudy effect to it. And when I go and put like a clear coat on this, it'll be nice and blended. But I did that, and then on the inside I just took my Tamiya X27 clear red and put that in my airbrush and sprayed it in and coated it nice and even. And like I said, fortunately, you know, you can see on the antenna controls board that it's lighting up nice. So that'll look real good once we get it done. But I'm gonna have to wait on my board from Trek Modeler to see what's going on with it, because it's not lighting up at all. I'm gonna try to hook up maybe some of the LEDs and see if I'm getting power to this side of it. But kind of disappointed. I was looking forward to getting that lit up and seeing how they both did their Buzzard effects. But we'll come back to that as soon as I get something back from Trek Modeler and see what they say, what's going on with this thing. But at any rate, I did get the saucer primed up, ready to go. And what I did was, on the inside, I took my flat black and sprayed it down real good to light block it. And then I came back with a nice gloss white, and that'll help bounce the light around quite a bit. And once I did that, got that done, I came over on the other side. I did some light blocking with my Tamiya gray primer, and then I came back over it with a fine white primer, and gives you a pretty nice even coat. I'm gonna put the first top coat on, and I'll probably do some light sanding to it to get it nice and smooth. and then we'll go from there. But the saucer section is at least primed up, ready to go. I do need to do some work on this little hood scoop on the front here. This part here you shouldn't have a seam line here from what I've seen on the renders of the CGI model. So I'm gonna have to get this puttied and see if I can blend this in some. I don't know how well it's going to blend in because it does sit up a little bit above the it does sit up a little bit above the edge of the saucer section here. So we'll see if I can get that blended in some, and then I'll be ready for the primary coat color. So give me a little bit to work on that, see what I can do, and we'll come back and see where we're at. Alright guys, so actually I got the bottom and top of the saucer I'm working on primed and ready to go, and I've already put the first coat of the folk art pewter on it. And but this one here, this is the bottom half from the other kit I have, and I broke it out because I just want to go over something with it real quick. And the one mistake I made was you've got these little holes you got to drill, and I used a 1/32 drill bit from my Dremel drill bits, 1/32 in my pin vise, and you can see it's pretty thin. And I just got down as low as I could, or as high to the top edge of I guess this is a cargo bay here, but the top edge you can see there's a little raised part here that's supposed to be where the light is. So I got as close up to that as I could, and I just drilled with this drill bit. And drilling with that drill bit, it's a perfect fit for, I've got this is the fiber optic I'm using for those little spots there. This is 0.75 millimeter fiber optic. I don't know yet what kind of light I'm going to get out of it. I got to connect that LED to it. But I already drilled on the top section, I already drilled the 3 lights on each side of that hood, and my center light, and also I did the same thing that you got to do on the bottom here, which is drill those holes for the lights to come out over these cargo bays here. And but I wanted to point it out, you're going to want to do that before you do your painting, because I just had to go back and re-sand this whole area here and re-prime it and paint it and everything, because when you go to put your pin vise in there, in order to get the angle you're going to want to get as flat as possible, your pin vise tends to scratch up, scrape against the bottom here. So just one suggestion I've learned already from building this kit, do those holes before you paint, because once you paint you're going to risk scratching that up a little bit. In hindsight, I probably could have avoided that by just putting a piece of blue tape, painter's tape on there and protecting it while I drilled. But hey, this is the engineer and I'm learning as I go along. So, but so I've got those primed and ready to go, and I'm going to, I've already put the one top coat on of the pewter, but now I want to follow up and do light misting of this titanium gold to give it kind of that bronze type shimmer that you see on it, or that's supposed to be there. I don't notice it as much in the shows. Every once in a while you can catch a glimpse of it. But so one thing I recommend with this is, and somebody recommended this to me, and it's a great idea, because I did notice that you don't want to strain this this paint a little bit, because you do get some little clumps and some little flakes in it. Just take a little Future and put it in there. And if you don't have anything to strain it with, you can do it with a paper towel. I did that a couple times and it seemed to be fine, but you're going to want to strain this stuff a little bit, make sure you get all the clumps out of it. Just do a little bit more there. So, but I'm thinning this out with the Future and mixing it up. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can see the clumps in there. You know, no matter how much you mix it, you're going to have some in there. So what I did was, instead of using paper towels to strain it, because it seems so unprofessional, I went out and just got one of these single serve coffee filters. And what I'm going to do is it'll fit right over these little cups. And I can take this paint mixture and pour it in and let it thin out or strain through there. And you can see it's almost like mining for gold with this stuff. But you can see the little chunks. I don't know if the light's getting in there, but you can see there's little chunks in there. Bring the light over here. Little chunks in there that it's you don't want that in your airbrush. So that'll filter it out decently. And because this is acrylic paint or craft paint, I can clean that out, rinse it, reuse it. We'll just use some water, and you can see we've got, and now it's nice and filtered out and thinned out. Now I can go put this in my airbrush and do a little misting of this on the saucer section. So give me a couple minutes, I'm gonna go do that, and we'll be back. Alright guys, so I got the coat on of the pewter, and honestly it looked pretty good on the 1000, but on this bigger one, the 1350, I think it's just a little bit too dark. So I am going to have to pull that off. The good thing is that with the craft paints, I've already done it on this bottom section. This is just where gray primer. But the good thing is with craft paints, I can just use hot soapy water and it'll come right off, and I can start back over. So not too big of a deal. But I am going to have to take off this coat. I think it's just a little bit too dark for the 1350. So I'm going to have to go back and revisit my colors here and see which one I want to try next. And I'm thinking this other silver here might be the one to try. The Dazzling Metallics Shimmering Silver. Because I think the plain silver on this one just had too much of a metallic flake look, and also this pearl taupe. Even though the pearl taupe has a little bit of a brownish color to it, it's just, I think it's got too much of a metal flake to it. Whereas this one's more of a smooth finish. So I think I'm going to try this one, but I want to get this video up before the weekend's over, and I don't want to hold up getting it done. So I'm going to work on this and come back next video and we'll see where I'm at. But yeah, I just think that this pewter, like I said, it looked good to me on the 1000 test that I did. But on the 1350, and they say, you know, you want to go lighter on your larger scales. And I think it's true in this case, because it's just a little bit too dark for me on the 1350. So I'm going to try a lighter color on that, and we'll come back and see where I'm at. And I did, on this Trek modeler board, I wired up one of the lights just to see if maybe it was just the buzzards I'm not getting power to. And unfortunately, it's the whole board. I'm not getting any power to the LEDs either, on the LED side for the navs and strobes. So I sent them an email last night, and we'll see when I hear back from them. I did send an email to over to Tenant Controls, Ralph over there, and I sent that email at noon yesterday, and I heard back from him today at like 11 o'clock on a Sunday. So, you know, how's that for customer service? Can't beat that. But he did say, and he did confirm, that I can wire additional LEDs for those strobes in without any problem, and I can also wire an additional LED lighting strips for the internal light if I want, no problem. So there's your answer for that. There's my answer for that, and I appreciate Ralph getting back to me so quick. Like I said, I've got an email into Trek Modeler, and we'll see what they say. But this board's pretty much DOAs. I'm not getting anything from any, and it's pretty simple hookup, so it's not like I could have wired something wrong. The Tenant Controls board is a bit more complicated to hook up, and that's working just fine. So the Trek Modeler board is just positive and a negative lead, and this plugs into the board, so it's not like there's any wires to solder up. So it's unfortunate. We'll see. Hopefully they can get me a replacement here real quick, and we can do a comparison before I have to install all this. But at any rate, I want to wrap this up for this week. I'm going to work on getting that paint done, and hopefully next episode we'll come back. I'll have that paint squared away, and we'll be ready to move on and start doing some lighting inside. So I appreciate everybody that's subscribed. I appreciate everybody that's been watching the videos and giving me some feedback. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below. You don't have to, but if you don't hit the subscribe button and you find anything in this video useful, please just hit that like button below. Let me know how I'm doing. So again, everybody, appreciate you. Till next time, keep modeling.